One of the most improbable playoff losses I can ever remember. And we'll see if it matters, Sean, because sometimes these happen and then the team wins the series anyway, and it just becomes a blip. And hopefully for your sake and the sake of the Knicks fans, that's going to happen. But that was about as improbable and a crazy of a loss as I've seen. Walk us through what you're feeling.
Well, as you know, I don't actually have a lot of experience with a loss like that. The Knicks just have not had a lot of gut-wrenching playoff losses in the last 30 years. You know, they've obviously had a few in the mid-90s that were devastating, but when those were happening, I was like 12 years old. It takes me back. It takes me back to Charles Smith. You know, it takes me back to those painful moments when you felt like it was within your grasp. This one's a little tough because I really want this Sixers team to be burned alive. Like, I really hate them. And I just really want this series to be over. And there's a sick part of me that's just like, you know what? Go to the second round. If you win against the Pacers, great. If you lose, fine. But I have just grown to despise and be in awe of Tyrese Maxey. And I just don't want to have to see him anymore. I'm just sick of it. So I'm feeling really sad and also kind of just stunned and unable to get my head around what just happened.
Plus, so you're up 106-100. There's less than 30 seconds left, timeout, and they're cutting to everybody in the crowd. And it's just like the craziest mixture of famous New York fan celebs and then actual people who played on the Knicks. And anywhere the camera is going, there's just like three more people who are like, oh, him. Oh, those guys. And it just felt like, holy shit, to have this game in game two. The Knicks are officially alive. And then in a heartbeat, it changed.
Yeah, there was a moment, I think it was at like 59 seconds when they went up 6, and there was a cutaway to the crowd, and you saw LJ, and you saw Spree, and you saw Starks, and you saw Patrick Ewing sitting down, and people
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
reaching over and like grabbing him by the shoulder and clutching him. And I was sitting there with my 3-year-old, and I was like, that's Patrick Ewing. This is the Knicks. Like, it was a really like a genuine emotional moment. And I never would have thought, I shouldn't say that. I felt confident that they were going to win the game, and the way that they let it slip through their fingers is just maddening. I mean, I actually don't know. I could recount every single moment that just happened, but each one that happened had to happen for it to become a bad loss. No, like in the grand scheme of things, you're right. They're up 3-2. They were up 3-1. I think they've basically outplayed and out-hustled the Sixers this entire series, and I expect them to do the same thing in Game 6. But just replaying that last minute in my head, I feel like I'm getting a migraine. Like, it hurts very, very hard.
Yeah, because Maxey made a couple shots when it felt like you had the game. But then the 106-100, less than 30 seconds left, timeout, 28.2 left, which is, I think, the exact same time of Heat Spurs Game 6, 2019. I think was also 28.2. I'm not positive, but I'm like 99% positive.
The Ray Allen shot?
Yeah. Well, it was the plays that led up to the Ray Allen shot.
Right.
They come out of the timeout, and Robinson's out there, which I just thought was weird because at that point, you just have to have guards and small forwards and everybody switching on everything. So they set a pick on him, and he comes back around and fouls Maxey, and they're like, oh, that's 2. His foot was on the line. They show the replay. It wasn't. The random 4-point play. So now you have the LJ 4-point play energy. It's suddenly in the game. It goes from 6 points to 2. And that was one. And then the other was Maxey then hits the second one after the Hart missed free throw, reminiscent of the Ray Allen game where, Manu had to miss the free throw to basically get it going. Then Kawhi missed a free throw. But the Maxey 2 threes, reminiscent of the Reggie Miller hit the 2 threes in the playoff game. So you dip back into Knicks history for 2 of the craziest Knicks playoff games at MSG ever, and it both happens in 25 seconds.
On all of my text chains, the Mitchell Robinson point is percolating hard right now because he honestly was great in the final 5 minutes of the game leading up to that final minute. He was denying the entry on Embiid. He forced a bunch of turnovers. He was knocking the ball loose left and right. He played really well. He's obviously not 100%. But in that situation, I mean, I even would rather just have Hartenstein out there. I think he is a better option in a situation like that because he's just more limber and he's not going to make a lurching foul like that. And I mean, credit to Maxey. He's just a sorcerer tonight. I mean, he was unbelievable. He was like a he was like the road runner out there. Like no one could catch him. He was hitting crazy shots. And yeah, it felt karmic for game 2. Obviously a lot of things broke their way game 2. And then there has been some crazy luck in the Knicks direction and some crazy luck against the Knicks over the years in games like this. The Garden with 1 minute left, that seemed as crazy as it was ever going to be. And then by the end of regulation, that's got to be as much as the wind has ever been taken out of their sails. Like did anybody see that series coming?
Maxey finishes with 46, and the 2 threes he makes, he scores 7 points in the last 28 seconds on 2 possessions, which is basically impossible. I don't even know if that's happened before in a big playoff game. I'd be interested. I know that they can run all the numbers, but just somebody scoring 7 points on 2 possessions to tie a game, I'd be interested to see if that happened before.
The second three is really hard to accept though, because the move was obviously to foul there, and to not get a foul in that situation it's a blunder. I don't know if that's Tibbs' fault or if they just couldn't execute or what happened, but he should never be able. I mean, it was an amazing 35-foot 3-pointer from the top of the key, but he shouldn't be taking that shot. They shouldn't allow that to happen, and they did.
Well, but that's what's crazy about those 2 threes. The first one, he's completely off balance, getting fouled, and just heaves it up and it goes in. But those are the ones like those never go in. And then the second one, he shoots it because he doesn't want to get fouled. And I'm going to say that was a 32-footer, but that's about as great with when you're talking about your season's on the line, basically, and you have to make it. That's up there. If they win the series, that will go up there with one of the great shots. Just because, like I was watching on Twitter, they ran the other day. They ran Jerry West made that shot in the 1970 finals. DeBusschere scores in LA with like 5 seconds left, and the Lakers inbound it. They don't have any timeouts, and West just is like, I guess I'll just have to make this 65-footer or whatever it was. And he just makes it. The Maxey thing was a little like that, because if he misses that, the season's over. And he buried it. It's not like it bounced around. It was like swish.
Well, and also he did it with like 8.5 seconds on the clock. So just from a strategic perspective, like it was crazy because he was trying to avoid getting fouled, but he also left a lot of time on the clock. There could have been a big rebound, bouncing, kicking out, giving them another opportunity. And I will say the Sixers, after getting their asses kicked on the boards all series, kind of outworked the Knicks in the second half of this game. The Knicks were not good at rebounding in the second half. But anyway, he hits that shot and they still have a chance. And Brunson is blazing down the court with 8 seconds left and he just gets his shot blocked at the end of regulation.
I didn't love that last possession. Did you have a timeout left or no?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't love that last shot by him. Poor Brunson ends up 15 for 32, is 40 points again, and gets outshone. He used to be an editor. Outshone or outshined?
For the purposes of Soundgarden acknowledgement, we'll say outshined. That's a great Soundgarden jam. Yeah,
gets outshined by Tyrese Maxey. So I have 2 different things for you. One is, I just off the top of my head, I did a tiny bit of research, but most improbable losses. And I think this is different than craziest losses, comeback losses, great shots. These are games that I specifically remember watching, thinking the game was over, and not even in the back of my head thinking the other team was going to come back. So that Ray Allen shot we mentioned, that game was a wrap. They're putting the rope around the court. Bird steals the ball. I was at that game. He missed the shot. Ball goes out of bounds. 5 seconds left, and we're all devastated. We think the game's over. The Derek Fisher shot is a really underrated one for this, because that swung who went to the finals. And by the way, every shot I'm going to give you is somebody went to the finals. Duncan makes a crazy, like one-legged, I don't know I can't remember if it was a 3 or a long 2, but it goes in. Lakers they're down 1 with 0.4 seconds left, leading to that crazy Fisher shot that swings the series. Lakers go on to lose to the Pistons, but that was a good Spurs team. And then the Reggie Miller 2 straight threes, where they're up 6, tied. Then the offensive foul on Starks after the rebound, and all of a sudden the Knicks are winning. So here's the thing. Out of those other 5, Maxey from the logo would be the 6th. But the other 5, the team won the series. If Philly doesn't win the series, I think this just becomes a really fun ESPN Classic game, and that's it.
Yeah, we're in prisoner of the moment territory right now. Like, this is the first round. It just feels more consequential because the Knicks are never in this situation. This has been an incredible series. Every single game has been a barn burner. I think the point differential for the entire series is +2 for the Sixers. So that just means that everything has been exciting about it. it's just I've never seen it, just like you. I've never seen a guy score 7 points in 28 seconds in the way that he did. I mean, it was remarkable and devastating. And OG Anunoby missed free throw. Josh Hart missed free throw. There was
Josh
a terrible
Hart, short armor, the first one. Oof.
And it was his second short armor of the quarter. He did something earlier in the quarter too. They missed a bunch of free throws. Brunson was gassed. He missed a free throw. Like, I can't not bring up Embiid though, who is just,
let's talk about it.
Just like a punk bully bitch who I cannot believe is allowed to play in the NBA. Him getting a flagrant foul up 4 with 90 seconds left in an overtime game that's do or die is one of the corniest, loseriest things I've ever seen. Hitting a 6-foot guard in the face on a critical play in overtime. Does he have brain damage? Like, what the hell was that? After mailing in one of the most pathetic efforts that I've ever seen from a superstar in a closeout game, what a dickhead. Like, what was that? Like, what Sixers fan is going to be like, that was cool. He hit Brunson in the face with up 4. That was awful. That's a bad look for the league.
Yeah. How'd you feel about it?
Are there people in Philadelphia right now who are like, Embiid is my favorite player? Like, what the fuck was that, Bill?
Well, I was monitoring this. He had 9 turnovers in the fourth quarter. And then he had 2 more turnovers, but somehow the number stayed at 9. But I'm positive he had 2 more after I looked, and it was 9. He was 7 for 19 for the game. He played some good defense in the OT, but he was so sloppy with the ball. There were moments where, I mean, it felt like he could have had even more turnovers than he had. And it just felt like this is one of the crazy things about this game. If Philly just loses, if Maxey misses that shot from the logo, that might have been Embiid's last game for the Sixers. That might have been the end of the process. There are all of these like sliding door scenarios where then the spotlight's on him. It's like, what the fuck was that game? You had 9 turnovers. You made 5 shots. What'd you do? And the OT kind of got it back, and now there could be a different narrative of that guy's a warrior. He played hurt the whole game. He came through in the OT. He had some big defensive possessions on Brunson, but it felt like he had basically had a fork in him until the Maxey 7-pointer.
He didn't seem like he could really hold the ball in the fourth quarter. It kept getting poked out of his hands in the final 6 minutes of the game. He's obviously insanely talented, and he rejected Brunson aggressively in OT on that one drive that was pretty critical in the game. But I don't know, like everything is just very stage managed with him. The alert that he had a migraine and he was questionable for the game before the game, putting out the Bell's palsy news after he tugged at Mitchell Robinson's ankle. Like, he's just a clown. It's like a totally stage managed social media clown. And he's a great player, of course, but I just really, really hope they put them to bed in Philadelphia. I really do, because I'm sick of hearing about him. I hope this is the end of the process. I'm sick of hearing about all of that crap. I give it up completely to Tyrese Maxey, who is an amazing player and like an unbelievable down the line superstar. But I really have grown to despise Embiid, as you know, over the course of the last 2 weeks.
It's crazy that you like him less than Kyle Lowry, who's one of your least favorite athletes.
Well, there's no secret about that. Like, Kyle Lowry's not trying to be like, I'm the best guy in the league. I'm a super nice guy. Like, he's a 38-year-old veteran who's made his entire career on playing this way. Embiid is bigger than everybody and is literally hitting 6-foot tall guys on the head. Like, what if a defensive end hits a quarterback on the head, he's ejected from the game and suspended. Like, what are we doing?
Lowry had a good one. Brunson was taking big free throws. I think at the end of regulation, I can't remember, but Lowry used to do this in the Celtics too, so I was watching for it. He's on the bench, and it was when it was the flagrant when he had the 2 free throws with nobody around, and Lowry's on the side, and right as Brunson's about to shoot, Lowry waves his hand, starts yelling instructions. He's doing that thing. It's like, oh, you needed to do this literally right now on the first of 2 free throws. But that's the kind of shit he does. He walks into people's sight lines. Like, he's just all about the gamesmanship. It didn't work in that case. But
the difference is if Lowry played for the Knicks, we would worship him. And if Embiid played for the Knicks, I would be disappointed. Like, that's really where it's at. Like, I really don't want to root for somebody who's basically picking on people. With Lowry, it's like he's trying to stay alive in the game. Like, he's using every trick in the book. it's annoying. Obviously, it's really hard to watch. Well, one, I mean, he's just putting a number on Devo. Like DiVincenzo, no one's really talking about this, but like he was their second or third best offensive player for the last 2 months of the season. He's averaged 8 points a game in the series. Like he has not done anything. So he's obviously given them problems.
3 for
Oubre
10
has played
today.
really well. Batum played really well today too. Batum was shadowing Brunson all game. Like guys who are you don't really think about as serious playoff players are playing really well in this series. But yeah, I don't know. I've been making a sincere effort to not drink alcohol during the week. This is something that I'm doing in my 40s, and I immediately poured myself a tall glass of gin immediately after this game.
Knicks played 7 guys today. Deuce McBride played 33 minutes and has hit when he launches jumpers. The entire crowd screams Deuce. So congrats to him.
He is the man.
No
is he not the man?
Bogdanovich out for the playoffs. Randall's obviously gone. Robinson's playing hurt. He didn't play Precious tonight, and nobody else on the roster, I guess, is going to play. So this is it. You're rolling with 7 guys from now on. And if
7-minute rotation is tough.
And the DiVincenzo point is key because he was the only other guy who could kind of create a shot himself. OG can sort of try to do it, but it doesn't, and Deuce can do it if he's coming off a pick, but you really felt it in the OT. It was just like, all right, Jalen, one more time. And it's just the same play over and over and over and over again,
I don't know if that's Jalen calling his number. I assume it is. You could feel that a little bit in the OT that he wasn't really going to let anyone else shoot. They weren't really working their offense. They were only working the Jalen offense, which is a little hard to watch. But also, if you just watch DiVincenzo go for 3 for 10 for the 4th straight game, like I'm not sure what other choice he has. OG, I don't know. OG, I was a little down on the first couple of games. I felt like they needed to give him more. He's been pretty damn good. He had a couple of moments in the 4th quarter of this game that were breathtaking. Like he had the garden in his hands at one point. I don't know. They're just, they're missing Randall. Like you can just see that they're missing an offensive player. Yeah. They need a guy right now, and they just don't have him. And so they're only going to go
Durant.
as far as
It'll be
goes.
great. Durant will be able to carry some of the load.
I was told Devin Booker wants to come, and when I was on with you and Howard a few weeks ago, I think we were dreamcasting the potential.
That's been the
Devin
rumor
Booker.
for 4 years. I mean, his guys are running the Knicks, so everybody is.
We'll do
about that.
Let's pick up Bogey's option. We'll trade Bogey and 3 first-rounders straight up for Booker.
Probably going to have to include some more stuff in that.
Deuce McBride untouchable, Devo untouchable, Josh Hart untouchable, Precious untouchable, OG untouchable, Jalen untouchable, Mitch, Isaiah Hartenstein re-signed. So Bogey and picks. Who says no?
It's looking Durantish, I would say more. Maybe you're shopping in the Durant aisle. So if you win this game, Brunson Mania goes up 7 levels. This becomes a legendary Knicks series. Knicks are back. We're taping this before the end of Indiana and Milwaukee. I assume Indiana's going to get to the next round. The process is dead. I don't know what happens to Embiid. We talk about his near quadruple double. That's one of the things that people remember about the game, plus Brunson. Daryl Morey probably, I don't know what happens to him, but it's probably not awesome considering Harden's peaking for the Clippers right now, and everything he got from that trade is basically Nick Batum. He got a wing defender for James Harden and a pick, which I support. But I'm just saying right now, this moment, if I own the Sixers, I'd be like, hey, what about when we traded that James Harden guy who was just killing Dallas the other night?
Daryl should have been forced to walk the plank into the Hudson River if they lost in 5 in New York.
Or at least sat with Latrell Sprewell. And who's Latrell with? He should have had seats.
I think it was with LJ, right?
Yeah. But now everything flips, and we'll see. Again,
what do you think is going to happen? Come on, you've seen this a million times. What do you think is going to happen? Do they spit the bit?
Here's my fear for you.
God damn it.
Sometimes in sports, when you hit rock bottom, shout out to Rock Bottom Month on the Rewatchables, by the way, you did a couple. When you hit rock bottom and it just seems bleak and it just seems like the door is slammed shut on whatever era you're in, whatever season you're in, and then something like truly crazy happens, sometimes it has a tendency to flip something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, because I don't believe for, like in basketball especially, it's not like baseball. Like we've seen baseball series where somebody loses a game like this and they're just fucking shell-shocked for the rest of the way and they can't come back from it. Basketball, especially the 3-pointers, you can come back. My fear is like something special is now happening with Maxey. And this was the Brunson series, and now we've moved into the Maxey series because you haven't really shown you can defend him. So my guess would be you'd probably put OG on him, right? I think they'd be afraid of the fouls, but he was even going by OG.
I mean, there's nobody on the team who can keep up with him. I'm trying to. So, are you saying that this game was our Manchester by the Sea? Like, which rock bottom month movie was this?
I think it's hardcore. I think now you're at the point where you have to dress up like a porn producer to change the momentum of it. You just got to put a wig on and a tie-dye shirt. You just got to get
Devin Booker to come in and audition for the role. Starting two guard on the New York Knicks.
But no, that's
you might be right.
That's my fear, is that sometimes this will happen where the rock bottom happens, miracle something, and then it flips. But I think a piece of that would have to be Embiid just playing better and not throwing the ball to the other team 2 to 3 times a quarter and protecting the boards, which he did a little better job today. And I thought in the OT he was a little energized defensively. So does that continue? They put a lot of minutes on him. When are you playing again? Is it Thursday night or Friday night?
I don't actually know. I wasn't planning on having to watch on Thursday or Friday night.
Yeah,
now I am. Thursday.
Thursday night. So 2 nights later, he's got to play, but you've put some miles in. It's one of the most fascinating first round series we've had. I mean, you talk about like start to finish, the 5 games were all really fun to watch. I have no idea what's going to happen now. And the Knicks are both back, and the Knicks are back. We'll see which one. We'll see which one counts.
Really, really quickly. If the Knicks go to Philly and lose, and then lose in Game 7 in New York, do you think that radically changes the future of what they like? Will they panic and do something that significantly alters what is clearly like one of the most beloved Knicks teams in decades? Like, this is my favorite team of the century right now. And I worry that there would be an overreaction relative to this experience.
I don't think it changes whatever the plan was. The plan was, if we can get a superstar, we will. That was going to happen whether they made the Eastern Finals or not. I think the only thing that it might shift is maybe you're a little less precious about keeping all 3 Villanova guys together. Like, if DiVincenzo's is bad the whole playoffs, and he's like the deal breaker in a trade to get somebody awesome, maybe you don't blink in the same way on that one. But when you think like Randall out, Bogdanovich, your big trade deadline, peace out. Alec Burks tragically passed away. Oh no, he's still alive. He's just on
Manchester
the bench.
by the Sea too. Alec Burks' demise. Yeah,
I don't know what happened to him. So I would say I don't think they would overreact to it. But the bummer would be, holy shit, we had this amazing moment. We had the next round coming where we were going to either play probably Indiana or a Milwaukee team with a banged up Giannis, and how did we squander this? And then just, you've done this with sports. I've done this with sports. These sequences where you just watch them for the rest of your life going, how the fuck? Why? I'm still upset that Michael Parrish didn't box out Kareem in Game 4 of the 87 finals. I'm still upset. It's 37 years later. I'm still upset about it.
In fairness, that is the NBA Finals. I'm trying to keep a level head. This is obviously the first round, but it's a good reset. You're right. When you texted me, I texted you right back. Like, I'm immediately just flashing on the worst possible outcomes here. Like, will this be the turning point that is just tremendously painful? So I don't know. I hope not. I worry that you're right. I'm just terrified of Maxey. Terrified. I think he is just a baller.
Do you want to apologize to anything you said about Joel Embiid or no?
No, fuck him. No.